You got musicals, holiday classics on ice, and brilliant dance numbers, but remember, they won't be around for long, like Joffrey Ballet's The Nutcracker by two-time Tony Award-winning choreographer Christopher Wheeldon. The 1893 Chicago World's Fair is brought to life on the Lyric Opera House stage, set to Tchaikovsky's legendary score. Critics call it pure joy, heartwarming, and show-stopping, and it's running now through the 28th. And I got a little tip for you. Use promo code SNOW10 to save 10% off tickets for the December 26th and 27th performances. There are a couple of restrictions that apply. The offer excludes price level 6 and previously purchased tickets. See the Nutcracker and visit joffrey.org to grab your tickets. Today on CityCast Chicago. In 2024, we had a whole lot of food across Chicago neighborhoods, from sweepstakes to ponchki. We learned a bunch of random food facts about pumpkins and backyard chickens, and we suggested a ton of restaurants for everything from carb loading to getting your frozen treats. But how much of that information did we actually retain, y'all? Well, we about to find out with Chicago's literal hardest food quiz of 2024. It's Thursday, December 19th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago is talking about. I am joined by our Hey Chicago newsletter editor, Sydney Madden. What's up, Sydney?
Hey, Jacoby.
We've got executive producer Simone Alise in the building as well.
Hey, Jacoby.
And like we said up top, we have celebrated a ton of Chicago holidays with food. We have sent you to a bunch of places for everything from frozen treats to how to eat cicadas. And so we decided, how can we put all of that 2024 Chicago food knowledge in one place? And as you can imagine, our executive producer, Simone Alise, has suggested yet another quiz. And so me and Sydney are going to compete in our first annual Chicago food quiz. Over to Simone.
All right. So each question, I've taken one question from every month in 2024 up to November. So just 11 questions. And each one comes from an episode that we did. Some of them have multiple choice. Some of them will be timed. Some of them, the answers are all about vibes and just my general feelings on if I like your answer or not. There's no real rhyme or reason to this game. And I think it's still going to be fun. So are you guys ready for the first question?
I guess.
Are you going to tell people the sound we can expect to hear when one of us raises our hand or something?
You can have a sound when you get it right. Yeah, let's do that. Here's the sound that you will hear if you get the correct answer or if you win the point.
Bet.
And I will keep track of points. So we're playing fast and loose over here. This is wild trivia over here at CityCast Chicago. Okay, so this first question actually comes from one of the first episodes we did in 2024, which was our best Chicago food predictions of 2024, which we did with Eater Chicago's Ashok Selvam. And one thing we talked about was the tipped minimum wage that went up this year. It went up to $11.02 an hour. It will go up every July for the next 5 years until it matches the full minimum wage, which is currently $16.20 an hour. I want the percentage of, this is like the hardest question to start with. I want the percentage by which it will raise every year. And I do have a multiple choice if you guys need it.
Well, I want to take a swing at it.
Okay, go for it.
I don't know why I said I want to take a swing at it. I don't. I just want to be the first one to say something. I'm going to just say 13%.
It is not 13%. Okay, here's the multiple choice. Is it 5%, 8%, 10%, or 12% every year?
Is it 10%?
No, it is not.
All right, then I'll take one more guess and say 8%.
It is indeed 8%. So, Jacoby, you get a point on that. That means that in 2025, that will put the tipped minimum wage up to $11.90 an hour, assuming I did that math right. It'll be somewhere around there. As we recall, this was legislation passed in late 2023 in Chicago because currently tipped workers make less per hour than other minimum wage workers. The idea being that the difference is made up in tips. However, that isn't always the case. And so the idea was to bring tipped minimum wage workers up at the same level as other minimum wage workers.
Something I did notice this year that may have been happening across the city, but I guess I really just paid attention to it more, was the 20 or 25% gratuity just being on the bill. But they also added language this year where it was like, you're not expected to give additional tip. We've already put that. Anything over is at your own discretion. And I'm not going to hold you. The last time I went to a restaurant that did that, I completely forgot and I added like a 28% tip or something. It was good service. And Taylor was like, you've been real nice. That's like 48% between the two. We had already walked out the building. So it was burnt money at that point. But yeah.
Yeah, that was something that Ashok told us is one of the predictions, was that different restaurants are going to sort of take different approaches in how they're communicating either raises in prices or service charges, which is like kind of a gray area in terms of tipping. And we will just sort of see more of that kind of thing and more discussion of tipping in 2025. All right, moving on to February. In February, we talked with our friends at The Infatuation about speakeasies and supper clubs. I'm going to give you each 10 seconds, and I want to know how many speakeasies or supper clubs that you can name in those 10 seconds. Which of you wants to go first?
Simone, this is hard.
You're a wild person, Simone.
This game is humiliating.
I wish y'all could see this look she got on her face where she's just like cackling because she knows. She said something earlier where it was like, it's harder to write easy questions.
It is harder to write easy questions.
Can we do it together? I can only name one.
Let's go. Can we? Yeah, we'll go together.
Okay. Maybe we'll make this a collaborative quiz instead of a competitive one. And we'll just
it feels like we competing against you.
We'll just see how many points overall you guys can get. In that case, I will give you guys 20 seconds collectively, and you name me as many speakeasies and supper clubs as you can. Go.
Green Mill.
I'm gonna go with Dorian's, Blind Barber. I'm going to go with Lazy Bird inside of the Hoxton. I'm going to go with, there's a speakeasy inside, Punch House inside of Talia Hall.
That's the end.
Okay.
That
was so hard.
Okay. So, Jacoby, you named a few that were on our list. Blind Barber was on there, which is in Westtown, I believe.
Yeah, like West Loopish. Mm-hmm.
West Loopish. Dorian's.
Wicker Park.
In Wicker. And you named Punch House at Talia Hall in Pilsen. And then a couple of others that we didn't have on our list. I think you said Lazy Bird, which I don't think I've actually even heard of. See, this is why I didn't answer the questions and why I wrote the questions. I don't know either.
Now, Lazy Bird inside the Hoxton is nice. I think they have a New Year's Eve event as well.
And we'll count Green Mill too, because of its prohibition history. I don't think I would consider it a speakeasy anymore at this point, but we'll count it. So we'll call it 5 points for this round for you guys collectively in this collaborative trivia experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on to March. That is when, Jacoby, you and Michelle visited Home of the Hoagie in Morgan Park to try the classic sweet steak sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Can either of you tell me what year Home of the Hoagie was founded? Was it in 1933, 1949, 1969, or 1996?
All right, I'm going to go with 1969. Yeah.
That is
the other
correct.
Seemed old.
All right. Sid, we're going to get you in here. I promise.
Is there more mental math ahead?
There might be.
Fuck.
There might be more mental math ahead.
I feel like all she's learned in the dozen trivia episodes the two of you have sat through, Sydney, is how to make harder questions for us.
It's not.
This is not. I wrote these very quickly.
Okay. I know things, CityCast Chicago listeners. To be fair, I know
I think
things.
part of the reason I wanted you on here, Sid, is Sid, of course, you write a weekly news quiz every week in Hey Chicago about the news, and so
Which I'll tell listeners, is much easier than this.
It is. The Hey Chicago News quiz is much easier than this quiz.
I think the 50,000 plus Hey Chicago subscribers can vouch for that as well.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
But this is what we learned this year, guys. We learned so many things. In April, we talked to wine expert Chastity Cooper about where to find good wine in the city and also how to appreciate wine while you're tasting it.
Mhm.
Chastity gave us the 5 S's of wine appreciation. What are
Scent?
they? I'll take set. It wasn't set. It was sniff, but we'll take it.
Okay.
Mhm.
We'll take
Sip.
it. Yes.
Savor,
Yep.
swish or swoosh,
Swirl.
Swirl.
I'll take it.
swirl. I was gonna say a bunch of the different things you do with wine once it enters your mouth. Look at it. See it.
See it. There you go. You guys
I
are
was
all
We
gonna-
got this
live.
together, Sydney. We doing this. We're knocking it out.
Thanks for the heavy lifting, Jacoby. I'm so glad this became collaborative.
You guys are up to 12 points now. Which, what does it mean when I don't know how many points there are total? All right. In May, we learned a lot of food facts, actually, so I had a hard time choosing. But of course, I had to talk about one of our least downloaded episodes of the year. The
Cicada
episode
eating.
episode
Yep.
that CityCast listeners said they did not want to listen to, and that was about eating cicadas. We talked with food writer David Hammond about the best ways to prepare and eat the little bugs, unless you have what kind of allergy. If you have this allergy, you should not eat cicadas. Is it shellfish, nuts, dairy, or soy?
Is it soy?
It is not soy. Jacoby, do you know?
Shellfish.
It is shellfish. They're basically like little lobsters on trees.
Interesting.
Is what cicadas are.
It almost stumped me though because I remember him saying they taste like nuts though.
Yes,
Or
that was
like
the
peanut
idea.
butter, something like that.
That was the red herring.
Yes. I see what you was going for.
This summer, we saw the return of Food Truck Fest to Daily Plaza. But Chicago's food truck culture isn't as robust as in some other cities, in large part because we have some pretty restrictive regulations.
Sydney, she finna ask how many feet does a truck need to be away
Is
from
that
a
what you're going to
building, bro?
ask?
That is exactly what I'm going to ask.
Simone.
How far are food trucks allowed to run from brick and mortar restaurants in feet? This is in feet, and I just want you to get as close as you can without going over.
12 or 13 feet.
For some reason,
50 feet.
my first thought was 40 feet and then 150 feet. But I'm gonna go with 40 feet.
Technically, Jacoby is closest. It is 200 feet.
I had a feeling as soon as you said food trucks, I was like, there is one super hard question in there.
It was either that or like how long at a time are they allowed to run, which is 4 hours, by the
Oh,
way,
okay.
at a given moment. Okay, Sydney, the next question I'm pretty sure you had verbatim in a news quiz.
I don't like the sound of that.
I was
I'm
gonna say that's not a
scared.
good setup.
That's pressure on.
This is the next question. In July, we talked about breweries in
Okay.
Chicago. True or false? Chicago has more breweries than any other city in the country.
True. Yeah? Okay.
You looking for the sound though.
No, I'm looking for the button. Yes, that is true. Or at least it was definitely true in 2018. According to a report from the National Brewers Association, we outranked Denver and Seattle. Fun fact, Portland, Maine has the most breweries per capita. So the most breweries by population. But Chicago, at the time in 2018, had 167. I think we have even more than that now. We were approaching 200 at one point, even though I know some of the locations we have seen closing in the city this year.
I was gonna say we've had some brewery closure news this year for sure, but
Yeah, but a lot of those breweries are still going. So even like the Revolution Gastropub that is, or their original location that's closing, they still have another open. They're still brewing here in Chicago. Same with Goose Island, right? They're sort of closing and reopening. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Softball. Okay. Let's hit August.
This one is mean. So now we have moved on to August, which was the month of the Democratic National Convention. I think that really dominated much of our coverage in August. As the commotion was dying down, we brought on our contributor, Legion Greco, to talk about how restaurants were affected. And she mentioned that she ran into which famous filmmaker who likes mustard and onions on his hot dogs. I'm looking for the name of a film director. I've got a multiple choice if you want it.
I'll need it unless Jacoby can take it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it. I was gonna say M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, you're kind of close in genre there, Jacoby-ish. You're kind of close-ish in genre there. Was it Joss Whedon, J.J. Abrams, George Lucas, or Steven Spielberg?
It was J.J. Abrams.
It was J.J. Abrams, whom Lee ran into and gave several restaurant recommendations to, she told us. We did that episode asking if restaurants saw the commercial bump we thought they would from the DNC. The truth was it was a little mixed, that there were some restaurants near the United Center and McCormick Place that did, but mostly people were just eating at the venues and not really getting out into the neighborhoods as much. And of course, you also had sort of some less commuter traffic downtown because a lot of offices went remote.
Yeah, shout out Lee. Came on a couple times during the DNC. People just heard Lee on yesterday talking about some of the most viral moments in the city. Yeah, jack of all trades, for sure.
So September was the start of pumpkin spice season. This one is a vibes-based question. This is a completely, there is no right answer to this question. September was the start of pumpkin spice season. In 2023, Illinois produced 690 million pounds of pumpkins. We are the leading pumpkin producer in the United States. In the episode that we did about pumpkins and pumpkin spice, I calculated how many bean sculptures, how many cloud gate sculptures it would take to make up that weight. God. What comparison do you want to hear? What should we weigh to compare to the 690 million pounds of pumpkins that we produced?
Like a skyscraper?
Maybe a skyscraper? I don't know. I wonder if we can see
and
how
you got to
much...
pick one skyscraper.
Yeah.
How many skyscrapers would it take to get that? So should we pick we shouldn't pick like a super tall one, should we? Yeah, how many Sears Tower is in 690 million tons or million pounds?
Million pounds. So let's see. Not as many as you would think. Let us look. Because I just found out. So the Sears Tower, aka the Willis Tower, is 445 million pounds. So it'll be less than 2. I have my calculator out here right now. So yeah, it's about 1.5 Sears Towers. Is how many pumpkins that Illinois produced in 2023.
Okay. How about Jonathan Ford weighs 338 pounds. He's a defensive lineman on the Bears. He's currently listed as the player who weighs the most on the Bears roster. How many Jonathan Fords is in that amount of pumpkin production?
All right. You said 338?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So that is about 2 million Jonathan Fords, which is more than the population of Phoenix, Arizona. We are approaching the population of Houston, which is the 4th largest city in the country. So
Ooh.
It would be an entire city populated by Jonathan Fords. All right, moving into October, social media was buzzing because of a teased collaboration between Alinia's Grant Achatz and the Wiener Circle for Alinia's 20th anniversary in 2025. What food item are they reportedly working on?
A corn dog.
That is exactly right.
Wow.
You see my hands? I was just like,
I know. I was watching you.
I was like, something in here. What is this? And I just saw a stick.
Bonus point if you can tell me What was the Wiener Circle last restaurant collaboration that they did?
Was it with something fancy?
Ish, certainly fancier than the Wiener Circle.
Mm.
By
Like
a
something
large
with
margin.
Malort?
Something very popular. It's a very popular spot. Jacoby talks about this spot frequently.
Easy does it?
No, you're in the
Did they
right
do something
area.
with Giant
Not
or
Giant.
Daisies?
They did do something with Daisies. They did a hot dog
Mm.
croissant with Daisies.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, in Logan Square.
That's right. I should have known that.
That was in the episode, one of our food news roundups that we did, where we also talked about the $13,000 martini that
Right.
comes with I think it's a tennis bracelet or a tennis necklace. So weird food headlines in 2024. All right, last one. This is from November. One vote that we watched very closely in this election was a ballot measure covering a tiny precinct in the Ravenswood-Lincoln Square area. It sought to lift a ban on alcohol sales in that precinct. The ban was lifted. How many people total voted in that election? And I'm looking for just get as close as you can without going over.
Wait, to clarify, total in the election, like in that,
In
like
that,
on that ballot.
on that measure, how many people voted total on that measure?
I think it's like 335.
I was gonna say 2,600. So
I thought it was a
Sid,
lot
you are
smaller.
so close.
I
Like,
remember
that's-
looking at it.
That's about how many people voted yes. The
Oh.
total number of votes was 404 people voted
Damn
in that
it.
election. You were so close, Sydney.
Damn.
So, in all, in this collaborative edition of trivia where the points don't really matter, I would say you guys amassed about 18 points out of 11 questions, which I think is great. So, and I thought we learned a lot this year, didn't we?
no, apparently not. We said a lot. I don't know how much. We said
That
a
was
lot
humbling.
of great food facts this year.
No, next time I want to do the trivia and then you guys have to answer my questions because me trying really hard to make a hard question will be like average and it will be like competitive.
I'm cool with that. Next trivia game designed by Sydney.
Yeah, don't. This is what happens when you let me design the trivia. Is it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
We had some amazing food episodes throughout 2024. If you got some favorites, please let us know by sending us a text or leaving us a voicemail at 773-780-0246. Please help me in joining our guest today, executive producer Simone Alisea,
Hey, thanks, Jacoby.
and Hey Chicago newsletter senior editor Sydney Madden.
Thanks, Jacoby.
Before we get out of here, do me a huge favor and vote for Hey Chicago and CityCast Chicago as best email newsletter and best podcast as part of the Best of Chicago 2024 from our friends over at the Chicago Reader. CityCast Chicago is about to celebrate 1,000 episodes next year. Hey Chicago is about to celebrate 1,000 editions. And so one of the ways you can help us celebrate is by voting and helping us win. Of course, I can't let you go without some good news. Chicago R&B sensation Tink is putting on her very first ever Winter's Diary Music Festival at the United Center tomorrow night. She got Sexy Red Money Long in the building, along with some other celebrity guests. The color for the evening, if you pulling up, is winter white. Now, if you're not familiar with Tink, I got you. Our friend Britt Julius recently wrote a great piece about the Southside native for Chicago Magazine. I'll drop that link for you in the show notes. As always, I appreciate you for being here, for listening, for reading, for heading over to the website and checking out our walking and neighborhood guides, our articles, which we're updating almost every single day, and all of the other amazing things that we got on our website. But most importantly, I appreciate you for making time to pull back up tomorrow morning, where we're going to be talking about some of the biggest stories from across the week. We really going to be digging into that budget, y'all. So I'll talk to you then. Peace.